along that culture thing. We talked last time you were here about men in their first sexual encounter and the prostitution rate, and I think we were saying something of an alarming rate of men's first encounters with a prostitute. Can you share a little bit about that and what's behind that, just kind of with young men or...
Yeah, and I had a friend who was brought to a sex industry place by his father's friend. That was just kind of not unusual. Interestingly, it's both a society that is, I wouldn't really call it sex crazed, but very sexual, very free in some ways. I mean, if you pick up a business magazine or a daily news magazine, there'll be pornography in there, a layout and stuff. So very sexually oriented in one sense, but also very sexually dysfunctional in another. I mean, you have about 40% of marriages that are sexless. That they haven't had sex in the last 6 to 12 months. And you have an extremely low population, you know. It's flat, there is no growth, it's actually, you're losing the population. So there's, in one sense, a lot of sexual immorality and practices going on, but there's also an inability to actually have healthy sexuality at the same time with, like, your own wife. And then, unfortunately, I think there's an alarmingly high rate of also sexual exploitation and sexual molestation. And, you know, I think research and, you know, would show that a lot of that tends to happen in the home. And this can happen perhaps more often because of the living arrangements in typical Japanese homes, because it's small, number one, and some families then will all sleep in the same room with futons on the ground. And number two, in the schools. Yeah, unfortunately I heard of a situation yesterday of a problem, someone who had been raped. And, you know, now my wife and I are thinking about how do you help someone who's had that experience. This happened to this person in high school by a cram school teacher. How do you help someone then to have healthy sexuality after these kinds of experiences? So it's hard to find a healthy family, a healthy marriage, and the problem almost seems overwhelming if you take your eyes off the gospel and the power of the gospel. You know, if a missionary comes to Japan thinking, I'm going to change the society, good luck. You know, it's a society that, you know, will only be change, you know, just mustard seed change and light shining change through the power of the gospel. And, you know, it's a 50-year plan, not a 15-month plan.
Nice. All right. And then tell us about